According to a recent survey, nearly one-third of consumers say that they plan to grill more this summer than they have in the past, and that among the many meat options available, they prefer to grill beef. But grilling beef isn't just about putting meat on the grill. I have joining me meat scientist Bridget Wasser. She's the executive director of Meat Science, Culinary, and Supply Chain Outreach at the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. And she's got some great tips for grilling. Welcome.
Hey there, thanks for having me.
So can you share some of the best practices for grilling beef?
Absolutely. I think the first tip, I've got 3 good tips for you. I think the first one is picking the right cut for grilling. So there's so many different cuts for beef that work great on the grill. Some of those would be like a ribeye, a strip steak, a tenderloin, a T-bone, and of course burgers. They all work great on the grill and will give you just a great experience, and they're sure to be crowd pleasers for whoever you're feeding this summer. And then for less tender steaks, like a flank steak or a skirt steak, you just want to marinate that prior to grilling. I've got a simple marinade here, some oil, some citrus, some spices, and you can marinate those cuts for 6 to 24 hours prior to grilling, and that's really going to elevate their tenderness level. And then you want to make sure that you brown beef, but you don't overdo it. You don't want to overchar it on the grill. To get that great natural browning action that happens on a grill, you can pat your steaks dry before you put them on the grill. And I always say just season them very simply, just salt and pepper. That's all you need because you want that natural beef flavor to really shine through. So keep it simple with your seasoning.
What are some of the most common grilling mistakes that people make, and how can we avoid them?
Yeah, I'll give you 3 common mistakes that you want to make sure you avoid to make sure you can become a grill master for beef this summer. One is you want to make sure you always use tongs to turn your beef on the grill. Don't use a fork, because using the fork, you're piercing into the beef, and you're going to lose some of the natural juices in that beef, and you could have a dry steak at the end, which obviously no one wants. And you don't want to try to eyeball for doneness, or even worse, cut into your steak while it's cooking on the grill. That's really going to dry that steak out. So always use a simple instant read thermometer. Doesn't have to be too fancy, but it's your best friend this summer. So making sure you hit the right temperature every time you cook on the grill, and avoid any disappointment from cutting into your steak and finding that it's not the temperature that you really wanted. And then lastly would be the mistake of not letting your steak rest before you slice it. So I know it's tempting. We want to take a bite and eat it right off the grill. If you just let it rest for 5 minutes before you slice it, all the juices in that beef are going to redistribute. And when you slice it, that's going to keep all those juices from running out onto your plate or your cutting board. So it's so important to let it rest for a good 5 minutes.
Tell us about the United We Steak Summer Grilling campaign.
Absolutely. So Beef It's What's for Dinner, funded by the Beef Checkoff, has launched a new website and campaign for this summer and grilling season called UnitedWeSteak.com. And on that website, you're going to find an interactive map of all 50 states that were cut by hand. I actually have Virginia here, just to inspire you guys. And you can click on the state that you live in, or maybe one that you even wanted to travel to this summer that you're not going to be able to get to, and you'll find awesome recipes unique to that state. You'll find a ton of great grilling tips like the ones I just covered, and you'll find a lot of inspiration for making sure you feel good about putting beef on your grill this summer, and you have a great experience when you do.
And where can we go for more summer grilling tips?
I go to UnitedWeSteak.com. It's a great website to keep in your pocket all summer long to give you the best backyard grilling experience you could have.
Bridget Wasser, thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you.
There's more to come on Talk with Audrey. I'll be right back.